What's up, Bronco Nation? Welcome to another edition of Bronco Nation Updates post-game show. You just watched your Broncos go down to Logan and punk the Aggies 25-24. I'm Nick Wade, your host, and I'm always joined by Sam Gillette of Sam Talk Sports. How's it doing? How's it going, my brother?
It was going really crappy until about the last 3 minutes of that ball game. It got a whole lot better.
Yeah. I know my heart rate was up. Right up until until they won.
Yeah, I tell you what though, if Max Cutforth didn't secure a starting job last week, I don't know if he got away from being able to do it this week. He was balling tonight.
Yeah, he did awesome. Hey, Bronco Nation, thanks for joining us tonight. If you have any questions or comments, put them down in the chat. If you're anywhere but YouTube, try hanging with us in YouTube. The chat works a lot better there, and it helps help our channel. So head on over to our YouTube channel. I know I placed a link in the Bronco Nation Updates group, so click into that, join the channel, and let's go.
Let's go. I tell you what, Nick, we had a lot of offense tonight on both sides of the team, over 900 yards of total offense. So defensively, we had some great stops. Utah State's offense is up there, so we did pretty well against them, and it was it was like I said, it was right there till the end. We were sweating it out, and I tell you what, Bobo came up with a huge sack late in the game, his only tackle, and my God, was it glorious!
Mm-hmm. Well, the game did start out kind of hairy, kind of ominous. There was a couple questionable calls out there. One took a Irby pick six away, and one also took a pick away from Buck. And then ultimately, both of them ended up in scores from the Aggies. What did you think about those calls, my friend?
They sucked. Can I say that?
Yeah.
The pass interference, I think, was negated because it really wasn't pass or holding call on the Utah Aggie. I think he just played the ball, but it perceived as holding, so we got away with one late in the game there. I think that was a makeup call for taking away the pick six early on in the game. I could be reading too much into it though, but that pick six should have never been taken back. Just an absolute horrible call by the officials on that one. The offensive pass interference that happened, defensive pass interference that happened right after that should have been called, but it never should have been to that point because Utah State should have never still had the ball. That's just my take on it, though. I mean, we came out with the win. It's all good. Yeah, it's not the blowout win that we were probably hoping for to keep the metrics alive and give us that boost in the polls. San Diego State did lose, so now it doesn't matter what UNLV does tomorrow night because San Diego State beat Boise State beat New Mexico, and New Mexico beat San Diego State. Even if UNLV loses tomorrow night, we still go to the metrics. 3 of the 4 metrics had Boise State ahead of New Mexico by, I believe it was 5 spots. But San Diego State was still pretty up there. I think it was 12 spots in front of Boise State. So it's going to be hard pressed for Boise State to jump San Diego State. UNLV was in front of Boise State by a couple, by 6, I believe. So it's going to be hard pressed if UNLV wins for Boise State to jump both UNLV and San Diego State. That's not saying it can't happen. I have no clue what the sports source metrics are that the conference uses. I can't look at that. You have to pay to be able to see those. So just 3 out of the 4, it's a little murky now, especially if UNLV wins, it gets even murkier. UNLV loses, I think Boise State's in it as a travel to San Diego State. They might get the host if they view that loss to New Mexico worse than Boise State's win over Utah State, but it's up to the metrics at this point. But first things first, UNLV's got to lose to make sure.
Is there any scenario where both Boise State and San Diego State do not make it into the Mountain West Conference final championship, and it's the true Mountain West schools like UNLV and New Mexico that actually make the championship?
Yes, UNLV beats Nevada. New Mexico jumps both Boise State and San Diego State in the composite rankings.
And then that would make the Mountain West commissioner very, very happy, I suppose.
Yes, it would. Ron Cordell says head-to-head matchup should matter, and they should. However, whenever there's three-way ties, whenever one person has not beaten the two or three other people that are there, you can't say head-to-head matters whenever one team didn't play the other teams that are in that tie. Yes, it should matter, and it would matter if San Diego State would have won. Then it would have been New Mexico, or it would have been New Mexico and UNLV, which Boise State beat both, and then the head-to-head would have triggered, and Boise State would be in over San Diego State. That is why we said we wanted San Diego State to win, because that was the easiest path forward for Boise State to get into the Mountain West Conference Championship game.
Now, with only a 1-point win over Utah State, we're not really there's no math that we could do that would put us in a position where we would host a Mountain West Conference. Is there, or is it very slim? Like
very, very slim. New Mexico would have had to have blown out San Diego State to make San Diego State drop far enough in the rankings, and Boise State would have had to blown out Utah State to make Utah drop, or Boise State propel far enough in the rankings, and then UNLV would have still had to lose to Nevada, and that kind of shifting could have put New Mexico coming to Boise State, but it would not have put and it could have put San Diego State coming to Boise State if they didn't drop below New Mexico. But I don't see how they could drop San Diego State below Boise State and not below New Mexico, since they're only a few ranking points off of each other. Now, one could argue that Boise State will miss out anyway, because San Diego State's win over New Mexico's win over San Diego State could be perceived, even though it was a 2 overtime win, it still could be perceived stronger than Boise State's win over Utah State, and New Mexico can still jump Boise State, leaving Boise State as that 4th team out, or 3rd team if UNLV wins. So we're not in the clear yet. There's still a whole lot of football left to be played tomorrow, and I say a whole lot, there's 4 quarters. And as much as it pains Bronco Nation, you've got to be huge Nevada fans tomorrow, because if UNLV wins, then our chances become even dimmer, because most likely it'll be UNLV and San Diego State with UNLV hosting.
So we need Jeff Choate to bring his red ass out there and coach the game of his life, right?
Yeah. So, but yeah, we did our part. We did everything we could do to win today. Granted, our part should have been done 2-3 weeks ago. We shouldn't have these 2 losses, but it is what it is. But we've done our part in the moment to set ourselves up to get in. Now it's up to the committee, or to the composite rankings.
Now, do some of the other games in college football, in regards to the metrics, are those going to, because they do affect some of the, the scheduling, the strength of schedule. Now, are those going to trickle down into, like, say, if we did, right now we're tied with 3. There's the 3-way tie at 6-2. Now, if UNLV wins, and then that's a 4-way tie at 6-2, are all of those composite coming down from the rest of CFB, and that's what's going to really determine how Boise State factors in that, correct?
Yes, your S&P plus or SP plus and your strength of record are all going to take in those kind of factors. So we do want the teams that we've played to win, but it's also going to help our San Diego State and Nevada because they're going to have played, or UNLV and New Mexico's, they're going to have to played some of those teams as well. The out of conference games, yeah, that helped more. Only problem is our out of conference games includes a loss to Notre Dame and a win against App State that isn't doing great. They could still win tonight or tomorrow, I believe they play, and give us help. And then Eastern Washington, who's FCS, and that's not going to help us at all. And then South Florida, they could still help us a little, but we did lose to them, so it's not going to be much. So it's yes and no. The games that are going to help us the most are also going to help the other opponents the most as well. So it's just going to come down to offensive metrics, defensive metrics, whatever Sports Source has in store. I like I said, I can't see those. You have to pay to be able to see them, and I'm okay, but I'm not that kind of I'm not that kind of okay.
Yeah.
So I don't want to pay for a service that I only need to use once a year, and that's if this kind of stuff happens. So,
and I agree with Rebecca Chris from YouTube. You know, that is kind of the scary part. You know, part of the computer and the metrics is, you know, it's kind of out of our hands. You know, the way these numbers will finally land and determine who's going to make it to the championships. And then also, you know, we're always going against those when it comes to strength and schedule. Seems like in past years with like the CFP, or, you know, way back when they had the playoff before that in the BCS. So yeah, hate the computers. That's why it's really important to leave no doubt on the field, so we don't have to you know. And since we had 4 games where we only put up 7 points, you know, now we're in this position. But
yeah,
you know,
me and my dad looked over at each other whenever Boise State went up, got their 10 points, and said, "All right, Utah State's pack it up, go home. They ain't winning this one." And thank God that was the case. All right. Well, shall we get into to the stats of it all?
Yeah, let's take a look at the stats.
All right. Hold on. Stats. Wrong one. All right. Your game stats presented by KIDO Talk Radio 107.5 FM, 580 AM, and Blue Elevation, elevating Bronco sports through fans like you. Find out more, visit www.blueelevation.org and catch Nick Wade on the Kevin Miller Show over the air and through the KIDO app every Friday morning at 7:30 a.m. Mountain Time. Your team stats: Boise State beats the Utah State Aggies 25-24, putting up a total of 512 yards, 500 yards for the 5th time this year, 341 passing, 7 yards per pass, no interceptions, 2 touchdowns, 171 rushing yards, 3.7 yards per rush, the 1 fumble loss, 28 first downs, 7 penalties for 65 yards, and a 36-58 time of possession. For Utah State, they put up 405 yards, 184 through the air, under that 200 mark that we've been talking about lately. 5.8 yards per pass, no interceptions, 221 yards on the ground. Our rushing defense really needs to get that figured out. 6.5 yards per rush. They also lost a fumble. 22 first downs, 11 penalties for 91 yards. Time of possession, 23:02. Nick, what stands out the most?
I really, what stands out to me is that, you know, right on track with our secondary and that pass defense. We're right there. You know, we've been talking about this for weeks. They're, you know, 180. Sometimes it's 160. You know, we've seen they've just been consistent, and without Marion McCoy, you know, you had Sherrod Smith and Demetrius Freeney come in, and they did pretty solid. And the proof is right there. 184 passing, and that was against a top 25 team where Pagan had 4 receptions of over 50 yards during this season. So I was getting kind of nervous at the end there, where we turned the ball over on downs. We went up for the fourth down. I disagreed with that all the way, but because the first thing that popped in my mind, they had 25 seconds. I knew that Pagan had busted open four catches for over 50 yards on the season, and that was still an option. In fact, that was their main option when you're down by 1 and you're trying to get into field goal position, and that's your main target. So that really made me very, very nervous. So, but the defense, aside from a couple of those running plays, right on par with what we've been seeing, over the course of time. And before the season started, I was harping that, hey, we need a top 30 defense, and we're right there. We're right there. I know we're hovering about 34, somewhere around there, but we're right there, and really happy about that.
Yeah, and you said I love what Max Cutforth did. He didn't panic on that 4th down. You may have disagreed with it. My pop, he disagreed with it as well. He thought that they should have got the points, which that's okay. But he pulled off so many more seconds doing what he did than what kicking the field goal would have done. Maybe not have been an issue one way or the other, but he didn't panic. He didn't try and force the ball. He ate up as much time as he could, and then he went down without getting hurt, without turning the ball over, and just poise. That's all I can say. He was poised in the backfield in that moment. Didn't try and force it and make something happen that wasn't there to give Utah State life, and that's commendable. Even if you disagree with the 4th down call, Max handled it well. And give credit to Utah State. Go ahead.
Yeah, right. Well, he did exactly what they wanted him to do, right? And they told him, hey, go for 4. And then when he saw things break down, he showed his football IQ, like you said, and he did a great job in running some chewing some clock off that, some time off. So,
and you got to give credit to Utah State's defense for not biting on the handoff fake, because it would have been so easy to follow. I think it was Riley was in the game at the time. It could have been so easily to follow him and have that tight end slip out. I believe it was either Wagner. I think it was Wagner slipped out, and I saw the linebacker come up on him almost instantly and just take that away, and give credit to Utah State's defense for snuffing that out and giving themselves a shot to win that game. Unfortunately, Boise State's defense was better. Bobo coming in strong on that final defensive possession was awesome. Or not the final, the second final. It was the one before that. But yeah. And what that did for me was,
even though I did disagree with it, it told me, hey, Spence believes in the defense. So, and I believe in the defense too. I mean, they're doing great.
Yep. And that was your KIDO Talk Radio 107.5 FM, 580 AM, and Blue Elevation team stats. We did talk about Max Cutforth, who did earn Offensive Player of the Game. Loretta's Music Studio Creations and Wreaths, making music and crafts together. Find out how to contact Loretta Dorn for all your music and craft needs at bronconationupdates.com/directory. Your Loretta's Music Studio Creations and Wreaths Offensive Player of the Game is Max Cutforth, who had a crafty game with 26 of 49 passes, 341 yards, average 7 yards per pass, or per completion, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, leading Boise State to a 25-24 win. High pressure situation. Max handled himself great. What do you think about Max Cutforth after this week?
Yeah, I really liked the fact that he looked once he's been getting the reps and he's looking more and more comfortable with every pass that he takes, allowing Bronco Nation to see how he spins the ball. He did kind of start out a little bit rough, and then some of those receivers didn't help him either. Dropping the ball. Yeah, I thought he did great, and what I really enjoyed was watching the playbook be open a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't think it was open all the way, but as I wrote about and we talked about it during the preview, I thought it was getting to that point where the start to panic as a fan, like, all right, open it up, let's see some hook and ladder, but I thought that they opened it up enough to Riley had established the running game, so that they were focusing that three down front was focusing and keying on him, and also Sire Gaines, up the middle, to where it did allow for that play action pass to Matt Wagner and even Matt Lauder got in the mix too. He got some looks. So I thought Max did great. I mean, 26 for 49 and 341 yards, 2 touchdowns. I believe he's now even on the touchdown to interception ratio. Love to see that for him. But yeah, I thought he passed with ease. I thought he looked cool and calm, and I thought some of the decision making that he made as the game progressed, he really stepped into that role as the field general.
Yeah. He's like you said, he's stepping into that role. He's becoming that leader. Do you think that Maddox Madsen should be worried about his starting spot after the performance today?
I am not sure. I know that there's probably going to be two boats here, with the fan base, and the only thing that I would kind of measure things is, unfortunately, it's really tight. If you were to take the whole season, and the fact that Max doesn't have a whole lot on his resume, but both quarterbacks have 2 games where they only scored 7 points, right? But we'll give Max like 1 3/4 games, because that's when Maddox went out with the injury against Fresno. So now if they would have put up like 40 points, I probably would have been more team Max. But right now I have to be impartial, because I just don't. We don't. Even though Max looked great tonight, we don't have a lot. We don't have a lot to go on, and Mad Dog has a lot more on his resume, a lot more wins. So I would put it up for a competition. So I can't say either way. And I don't believe that somebody should lose their starting position because of injury. So I still think it would be Maddox's job.
Yeah. Timothy says, not normally a Boise State listener, but just don't know since I got home from the New Mexico game. Is it official that it's going to be New Mexico at Boise State next week for the championship? No, it is not official there. If Boise State would have lost, then I believe New Mexico would have hosted San Diego State if UNLV also lost to Nevada. And it might be because I didn't look into New Mexico's scenario. Did New Mexico beat UNLV? I gotta look that up. Let me check real quick. With New Mexico beating San Diego State, if they beat UNLV too, let's see, UNLV. Yep, they did beat. So with Boise State winning and New Mexico losing to Boise State, it still goes into the blender for the composite rankings, Timothy. If Boise State would have lost, then your win over San Diego State and UNLV, New Mexico would have hosted probably UNLV, not Boise State. But because Boise State won and New Mexico lost to Boise State, it puts you into that composite blender, and now you're at the mercy of whatever the rankings pan out to be later this weekend. So you should have been rooting for Boise State to lose because that was your best chance at winning. With the rankings that I can see, I'm not paying for the Sports Source rankings that the conference uses. The rankings I can see, on average, New Mexico's ranked below Boise State. So it's just going to be a waiting game at this point. Did New Mexico do enough to jump Boise State in the metrics or in the SP plus, the strength of record, and the KPI? If they did enough to jump, then you have a good chance. But I have a feeling that unless UNLV loses to Nevada, Boise State and New Mexico are going to be on the outside looking in. All right.
Yeah, I think isn't the thing that the wrench in it is it UNLV did not play San Diego State.
Yep. That's the only thing that's key. That's why if San Diego State would have won, then it wouldn't have mattered. And then Boise State's win because they own the head-to-head against New Mexico and UNLV. So it wouldn't have mattered what UNLV did. But because San Diego State lost, they are now in that, right now, a three-way tie. If UNLV wins, it'll be the four-way tie. So, all right. Talk a little defense?
Sure.
Maybe. There you go. Christina Sins, local, Lokel, real estate, giving home buyers and sellers professional, responsive, and attentive real estate services. Visit www.localrealestate.com, Lokel, realestate.com, for more information. Christine has all your real estate needs covered, just like your defensive player of the game, Bo Phelps. He had covered the offense with 7 tackles, 5 of them solo, and the tackle for loss, and none bigger than the blow up that he helped attribute on that last fourth down play that Utah State had that basically gave Boise State the win. It was the start of their scoring drive, and without Phelps there, I don't know if they stop him because he blew up in there, and it was a group of Broncos that ended up taking him down, but Phelps was the first one there. Great play. Deserving, Nick?
Yeah, and we spoke about this in the preview. That concerns about while Marco Notarani is a great linebacker, he just struggles at covering the real estate when there's a bad angle. And, we did see that on a few plays in the game. And that's where we said that's where Bo Phelps and Roman Kaywood and Jake Ripp need to, bring in the support and rally and compensate for that. And, I don't know if you noticed, but in the game, Bo took it really seriously. I mean, he took it personally. He got kind of rocked by Bryson there. Bryson's a hell of a running quarterback. Even gave Buck a shot, but there was one play where he rocked Bo and Bo took it personally, and that's when he made that awesome stand on fourth that really put the game in our back pocket. And that's, I think he really deserves it for that and just for staying in the game, even though he got suckered on that one play. He took it personal, and he leveled up, and he took advantage of that, and really helped secure the game for the Broncos on defense.
Yeah. Defensively, we gave up a lot of yards on the ground. Would like to see that get back under control, because it seems like Boise State's not living up to their run defense expectations we had for them at the beginning of the year. And maybe some of that's attributed to the speed that we just don't have at linebacker, it seems. And maybe we'll get that figured out going forward. Jim Baker says, "Go Broncos." Yes, go Broncos. Close win. Good. Glad it was a win and not a close loss. Gives us some hope for a championship still. But we're excited. We had the whole household here was jumping up and down and standing up for the final possession, and yeah, it was great. We were all scratching our heads trying to figure out why they were trying to say there was 1 second left on the clock whenever there wasn't. Time expired during the play. What they should have done has been looking to see if he actually caught the ball, because I think his foot was on the out of bounds line when he had possession. What do you think, Nick? On that final play, was he in or was he out?
It was hard to see on his foot. You're talking when the clock ran out.
Yeah.
It was hard to see on his foot, but I think when he actually came down with the ball, his thigh was out. That's kind of what I saw. But I saw the clock run out before that, and so I didn't really. Yeah. I mean, it could have. I mean, that was the thing, like, where I was kind of stressing out about, hey, you got Pagan on that side.
Yeah.
That those are the types of one more yard. I don't know if did that put him in field goal range?
No, I'm talking the last play of the game. Yeah, that would have been field goal range.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think even if there would have been 1 second, I don't know if they had conclusive evidence to.
Yeah.
To
it looked to me like his toes were on the white line, and I want to know if they counted that as a catch or if they didn't, because all they looked at was if the time expired. Because if they counted that as a catch and it wasn't, then that's obviously hurts Boise State in the metrics, having that long of a pass at the end of the game. So I just have to, you know what? I bet we can look up ESPN and they'll probably have play-by-play if it was considered a catch or not. In the meantime, kicking still seems to be an issue. Boomer famously made 2 50-yarders against Boise State, and it seems like he still has it out for Boise State because he keeps missing ones that we know he can make. What are your thoughts on our kicking game?
Yeah, going into this, I wrote about it, and a Bronco Mendenhall coach team, solid on all 3 phases, and they proved it. They did have 1 fumble, but when we missed that kick, I'm like, there's an opportunity for Utah State, because I just figured that a Bronco Mendenhall coach team wasn't going to be making many mistakes on even special teams. So yeah, did not like that. And then I was kind of clutching when he went for the next field goal, but he got it, and but that came. Before the game, I had pretty good confidence in the kicking game, and I still do. I think maybe that was just a one-off, but I hope it is. But his whole work this year, I think it's been it's met expectations. In fact, I think it's kind of exceeded, because we knew when he was coming in, he was, Boomer was struggling a bit. And I think for the most part, he got kind of beyond that. But, he did have that hiccup tonight, but he redeemed himself with the next kick. And that's certainly what helped us win by 1 point.
Yep. If he would have missed another one, and we may not be talking, got us to win by 1 point, we may be saying something else. But thankfully, he did connect on the other two.
Mm-hmm.
So I did look it up, and they did count it, at least on ESPN. I don't know if that'll stand or not, but it was a 32-yarder. So out at the Boise State 29, so they were well within field goal range if there was another second on the clock. So coming into the game, Boise State generated 533 yards against Colorado State, and that marked their 4th time this season. They totaled over 500 yards. Tonight, they put up 512 yards over Utah State, marking the 5th time, and I've got to look up to see how it went the last 5-timer, but the last time we did 4 was in the 2004 season. So our offense firing on all cylinders, back-to-back 500-yard games for Max Cutforth and company, 341 of them through the air. Really, really good show by the offense. Defensively, need to get some kinks cleaned up on the run defense, but pass defense is lights out. We just need to get that front 7 figured out, because if we're gonna win the Mountain West Conference Championship game, if we get the invite, we need to be able to fire on all cylinders. Bowl game, obviously we're out of CFP contention. There's just too many teams for the Mountain West to get a CPS or CPS. A CFP game. CPS should be called on some of these plays. Anyway, a CFP game, there's just too many other schools in contention for that. So there's no shot we get that. The Mountain West is out for all intents and purposes. It's likely going to be the American or James Madison out of the Sun Belt. So that being said, maybe we get a good bowl game. Anyway, get a good team. Let the boys go out with a bang. Good note heading into next year. Who would you like to see us play in a bowl game if we get the Mountain West Bowl?
Yeah, I hope I hope that we are going to the LA Bowl, because that would mean that we won the Mountain West Conference, and I would love to see like one of the legacy Pac-12 teams, maybe a USC or I don't know how that works anymore, because
I think they have to. If I remember right, last year they had to honor the Pac-12 commitments. I think, even though they're in the Big Ten, I think they had to honor the Pac-12. That was part of the exit package. I could be wrong. I could be horribly mistaken. Don't come for me. I promise I'll look it up and post it in the group later.
Yeah. So if that's the case, it's just a guess for me. But if I want to take the bottom tier of the Big Ten, I would love to see like a USC or a UCLA. Let's see who else is in there from the old Pac-12. Is it Oregon,
Washington,
and Washington?
Yep.
Yeah. I'd love to see. I would play any one of those guys, and I wouldn't, it wouldn't matter if we lost or not, because that's just one. Of course, I want them to win, but with the way that this season's gone, going to the LA Bowl means that we won back-to-back Mountain West Conference championships. We leave the Mountain West champions. That would bring me a lot of contentment, and then sure, another win in a bowl game would be awesome. But I would love to see the best possible opponent to go in there, and if that's a USC or an Oregon or a Washington, love to see it.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be Oregon. I think even if they lose to Washington tomorrow, they're still going to be in the CFP. Could be wrong, but depending on how bad they lose, I guess. let's run through these one more time for the people that are just joining us. Get that up there. There we go. Your game stats presented by KIDO Talk Radio, 107.5 FM, 580 AM, and Blue Elevation, elevating Bronco sports through fans like you. Find out more, visit blueelevation.org and catch Nick Wade on the Kevin Miller Show over the air or through the KIDO app every Friday morning at 7:30 Mountain Time. Your team stats: Boise State beats Utah State, putting up 512 total yards on the Aggies, winning 25-24. Max Goforth threw up 341 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. The ground game, our running back stable put up another 171 yards rushing. Sire Gaines with the lone turnover of the game on his fumble. 28 first downs, 7 penalties for 65 yards with a time of possession of 36-58. Good game control there. Utah State put up 405 yards on the Broncos, less than 200 yards through the air, though, as and a questionable 32-yarder at the end of the game. But they put up 184 in the air. 221 on the ground, though. That's cause for concern for our front seven. We need to get that under control. They did lose a fumble there early on in the game. 22 first downs, 11 penalties for 91 yards, and 23:02 time of possession. Your Loretta Music Studio Creations and Wreaths, making music and crafts together. Find out how to contact Loretta Dorn for all your music and crafts needs at bronconationupdates.com/directory. Your Loretta's Music Studio Creations and Wreaths offensive player of the game is Max Cutforth. He had a crafty game with 341 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, putting up 26 completions to 49 attempts. That's your Loretta's Music Studio and Creations and Wreaths offensive player of the game. Your Christina Sins Local Real Estate, that's local, L-O-K-E-L, real estate, giving home buyers and sellers professional, responsive, and attentive real estate service. Visit localrealestate.com, that's L-O-K-E-L, realestate.com. For more information, Christine has all your real estate needs covered, just like your defensive player of the game, Bo Phelps, covered the competition. He had 7 tackles, 5 solo, a tackle for loss, none more prominent than the help and stand up the Utah quarterback on that 4th down run at the end of the game. That's your Christina Sins Local, L-O-K-E-L, real estate defensive player of the game. Nick, what's your final thoughts on the football team?
I thought that it was awesome that they had some adversity early on with some of those shit calls, and they were able to push through it. Not lose their cool. Show that they show some emotional intelligence and keep that balance. And they just fought and they fought back. They won this game. Despite what I thought would win it with, chewing the clock up with the running game, but they actually did it with a lot of different stuff, and that gives me hope for this group moving forward into a bowl game or hopefully the championship. But they absolutely had to win this game, and they absolutely won this game. And They could have won it. It should have been probably a couple scores higher, but you know what? They played the game that was given to them, and they came out on top, even if it was by 1 point. So very, very happy. Very proud of the fellas for pushing through and sending the dorky Utah State fans home crying.
Yeah. I do have another question. It's kind of coming back to that Max Cutforth and Maddox Madsen, the quarterback competition that's likely going to happen. Is Maddox going to be the next Drew Bledsoe, and is Cutforth the new Tom Brady of Boise State? We'll find out. But it seems like the receivers are almost not used to Cutforth being able to throw them open like he was doing. Have you seen a lot of overthrows where receivers look like they're not running? It's like they're afraid to outrun a pass that's that they can't outrun because Cutforth has the stronger arm. Do you see a lot of that in our receiving core, and do you think that might attribute to some of these drop passes, receivers maybe being surprised that they're getting there like they're getting there just because it's a different quarterback?
Not for me. What stood out to me was, and maybe I just didn't see some of the ones that you did, but on the ones that I saw that were misses, I did see some overthrows. Just like Mad Dog, there's a couple ducks that were out there. But what really stood out to me was, and maybe it is a style different. Each quarterback spins it different. And maybe that attributed to some of those just blatant drops. I mean, they were like right there, and they dropped the ball.
None more disappointing than Chris Marshall being targeted multiple times and not being able to haul anything in. That was surprising. I expected to see more of him coming out.
Yeah, and I mean, we even, you look at the stat line and he's not there. And that was, when they said that he was going to be in the game, it was like a huge sigh of release. Like, all right, we have another weapon on offense. But where he wasn't there, Matt Wagner stepped up, and going into the season, we had him on a Blue Turf Talk, and we even told him, like, hey, with the season that Matt Lauder had last year, he's an NFL prospect. Our belief was that Matt Wagner could have been a starter for any of the other Mountain West Conference teams, and then so you really saw what he can do in the last few games. You've seen him step up, where Lauder's kind of dipped in performance. And Matt Wagner, he caught that one ball, and nothing was going to stop him.
To channel my inner Chris Berman, rumbling, bumbling, stumbling. What?
He could go all the way.
Yep. Great times. Well, we had some other Boise State action I want to get into real quick. The ladies, they were playing in Las Vegas, the volleyball team. They jumped out to an early 2-set lead on the conference favorite Utah State. Nick, you want to kind of fill us in on what happened with that? What did you notice?
Yeah, well, we've been talking about this. This is like one of the craziest times of the year for Bronco Nation updates, when you had the women's basketball team going, and the women's volleyball team, and the football going all simultaneously. So getting out those updates is a tall order. But I'm really happy that you're helping me out this year. So it made it, you alleviated a lot of that stress. So the women, they were really pushing for a Mountain West Conference championship. Unfortunately, it's been over 5 years since their last championship. But yeah, I was really hopeful they got off to a 2-set lead. I believe the first set was 29-27 and then 25-22. And I was like, all right, that's when I texted him, like, hey, they're up 2. Yeah. And then Utah State, remember that they're the number 1 seed and that they're 18-0 in conference, and and they battled back, took it to the 5th set, where they took it 15-9, I believe, and they're moving on to the championship finals in that tournament. And the Broncos, unfortunately, their season has ended.
Yeah, it was really fun to watch. I did tune in at the beginning of the second set. I was able to tune in. I watched the second set, and at one point I had volleyball on my phone, basketball on my computer, and football on the TV. So I was zoned in, and at one point I think I was clapping for 30 solid seconds between the football, the basketball, and the just going up, following the TVs, clapping, and it's crazy. Like you said, it does get crazy whenever you're the only people covering for Bronco Nation updates. You're the only people covering all the sports, and we try and hit all the sports, not just and watch them so that we can give you the analysis of them. We're not sitting here just going over and looking at the stats and then coming back and these are the stats. Merry Christmas and move on. We actually watch it so we can kind of tell you. But that fourth set, I really thought Boise State was going to be able to close it out in that fourth set, and then Utah State took it to extra points, and Utah State ended up winning. It was really fun to watch, even in the loss. You got to feel for the girls after putting up that kind of effort.
Yeah, and they basically did exactly what they mirrored what the Broncos did the first two sets, and then they basically came back and did exactly what they did, and then once you get into that final set, and it's like, oh crap, they're playing the number one seed.
Yeah. The ladies, they were in a championship game this week. The women's basketball team, they played Tulane over at the U.S. Virgin Islands Paradise Jam. They were in the Harbor Division. And I believe I've got their stuff here somewhere. There it is. The Blue Elevation game stats for that game, presented by Blue Elevation, elevating Bronco sports through fans like you. Find out more, visit blueelevation.org. Boise State won the Harbor Division. They are your U.S. Virgin Islands Paradise Jam Harbor Division champions, beating Tulane 81-76. They at one point had a 19-point lead in this game, and I believe it was 12 or 13 with like two minutes or so to go, and was really into it at the end of the game. Took free throws to put them away. I was nail biting. I'm not gonna lie. I thought that they were gonna blow that lead and go, but Boise State shoots 40.6% from the field, 33.3% from three-point range, and 77.8% from the line. 40 rebounds, 16 assists, 7 steals, 2 blocks. They caused 14 turnovers and got 15 points off them turnovers, 13 fast break points, 30 points in the paint, and had a lead of 19. Tulane went 27-77, 35.1% from the floor, 31.3 from 3-point, making 10 of them, and 92.3 from the charity stripe. 47 rebounds, out rebounded Boise State by 7, had 18 assists, 7 steals, 2 blocks, caused 15 turnovers and got 18 points off those turnovers, 16 fast break points, 32 points in the paint, and their largest lead was 5 pretty early on. Boise State really had control of that game from start to finish. It just kind of got a little closer than normal, closer than what I'd like to have seen there at the end after having such a big lead, but they did pull it out in the end. Did you get to watch that game, or are you engulfed in volleyball and football?
No, I was doing just like you, hopping around. And yeah, you're right. They had, I was gonna update when the final came that they dominated, but they were dominated, and then Tulane came storming back, and and then it came down to like the last few minutes. It came down to the foul game, and then it was like, whew, all right.
Yeah, it's a good thing that the free throws were somewhat on tonight, or this afternoon, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
Your Rowdy Farms LLC, a small-scale homestead serving Boise, Idaho, and the Treasure Valley. Rowdy Farms and their quail wrangling corgi Rowdy specialize in Coturnix quail. I think I'm saying that right. I'll have to look it up. Rowdy Farms offers adult quail, quail chicks, and quail eggs for eating and hatching. Email rowdyfarmsllc@gmail.com to find out more. Your Rowdy Farms LLC player of the game is Danny Bays. She had 20 points. Shot 33% from the field, 37.5 from beyond the arc, and 87.5 at the charity stripe. Had 8 rebounds, 2 shy of a double-double, 5 assists, 1 steal, 5 turnovers, 4 fouls, played for 36 minutes. We had the opportunity of speaking with Danny Bays. If you want to see that interview, go to the YouTube channel and look it up. It's there. Nick, were you impressed with her play today?
Yeah, no, she's awesome, and that's what happens when you come on Bronco Talk with yours truly and Sam Talk Sports. No, her and Tatum have done awesome. I think the game before, Tatum was flirting with the double-double, and in this game, Danny was flirting with the double-double, and she was between her and Tatum, they really locked him down, especially Tatum on defense. She had at least 4 steals, and then I think yesterday Danny was just crushing it from behind the arc. She had an awesome all around game today. That's why she is your Rowdy Farms player of the game. And I actually know Rowdy. He's a cute little dog, and he's awesome.
Yeah. Tatum had 19 points. So her and Danny Bays put up 39 together. Maya Hansen had 10 points. Natalie Pasco had 15 points. And then we got 14 points off the bench between Mason. Help me out with that last name, Nick.
Borcherding.
Yeah. Between Mason, Borcherding, Kenna Garza, Emily Howard, and Morgan Maldonado. So really all around great effort. Thompson had 19 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals on the game. So great effort by the ladies, and they are your U.S. Virgin Islands Paradise Jam Harbor Division champions. They beat Tulane and North Dakota to get there.
And then both Tatum and Danny were the all tournament MVPs. They got co-players of the tournament for that. That's an interesting tournament. They have like 3 brackets, and each one is like a different tier. And so they actually ended up having like there's 3 of them. So you had 3 division champions, right?
Yeah. The men's tournament is 1 bracket, and then the women's tournament are 3 different brackets. So, Yep. Nick, it was a great day for Bronco sports, minus the 1 loss by the volleyball team, but it was a valiant effort. Took the number 1 team in the conference to 5 sets. What are your final thoughts on the day?
Yeah, so days like this, they remind me of the article and the way that I think as a fan called The Standard, right? And all of these programs, their standard is to win conference championships, right? And the Broncos, although they didn't make it to the college football playoffs, they still have their goal in front of them, and they did everything that they could to have that in front of them. Right now, now it's just a matter of, what happens tomorrow and the rest of the college scape. But they have played up to the standard. So I just encourage Bronco Nation to go to BroncoNationUpdates.com. In the search field, type in the standard, and my article should come up. And what that'll do is it'll help the average fan or diehard fan. It helps me put everything in perspective. Like, especially like a year like this with the football team, we had high hopes for them that they would come through. They had a really good shot, clear shot. If they would have duplicated how they went last year, they had a path to the college football playoffs, especially playing USF and Notre Dame. But that didn't happen, right? So something that we see in our 30,000 member group is we see a lot of people who get really emotional, and that's what helped me come up with this philosophy of the standard for fans. And that's in times like this, where it's not a given that the Broncos are going to even win the championship this year for the Mountain West.
Yeah.
But where the standard comes in is it gives you that 5-year clock, right? So when a coach secures a championship, the 5-year clock starts over. And so for me as a fan, it gives me, that's a smart goal. And I look at that, even though I'm disappointed with the way a season went. Something that helps me stay grounded emotionally and, not so fanatic. I'm a fanatic, but I like to think of myself as having a high EQ that way. And that's what we're looking for with the product on the field. So I'm going to try to do that as a fan. So like, if my team loses, I'm not going to say fire the quarterback or fire the coach, because what I do is I work off a 5-year clock. And so for me, you have teams that have clocks that are going. So like with the volleyball team, Sean has gone past his 5-year clock. So, as a fan, maybe, thinking about what can they do to achieve that SMART goal of winning a conference championship. That's when, talks can be more deliberate and, because you don't want your program to stay stagnant for over 5 years. If you're not seeing improvement, then, maybe something needs to be done to make it improve and hit that goal. So like days like these, they really remind me of that and how to stay cool and calm as a fan and, keep that emotional balance.
Yep. Well, Bronco Nation, now we wait. All we can do is hope UNLV loses. If they win, it still goes to the composite, win or lose. So as soon as we know Bronco fate, you'll know. Hopefully we get to play for a Mountain West Conference championship and finish the legacy, the Boise State legacy inside the Mountain West, heading into the Pac-12.
So, Bronco Nation, thank you for watching. If you're watching this on the replay, go ahead and if you're watching now, go ahead and do all the things. Like, comment, share, subscribe to our channel, do all the things.com, and that'll help us grow the channel and monetize it for the university. So really appreciate everybody who's been watching. It was a great night for the football team. Your Broncos won 25-24 over Utah State and their dorky fans. They get to cry tonight, and so that makes me really happy, and that should make you really happy. And then so what we should be doing is, and I know that it's disgusting, but we need to be praying for a Nevada win against UNLV, and hopefully Coach Choate brings his red ass tomorrow and has his guys playing with some pride, and have him coaching with some pride too. So do you have any final thoughts?
DoAllTheThings.org is available. DoAllTheThings.com is for sale for $3,400. Yeah, I'm just excited for the team. They played. They did everything they could do today to get their spot. Moving forward, it's up to the rankings now. And yeah, I will have a CFP roundtable next week, probably Wednesday or Thursday, so be on the lookout for that. I got to get all the show details put together. We are going to be previewing every conference championship game and what it's going to do for each team and how it's going to affect CFP rankings, which shouldn't affect the top teams too much, but the bubble teams, it could propel them into or out of the CFP. So we'll just have to wait and see how that goes. But I'll have most likely have Todd back on. Pop will be there ready to pop off again on something, I'm sure. So then Dominic's probably going to make a showing. Nick, you going to be on this roundtable this week?
I will try really hard to make it because I can add a lot to the way the scenarios are working out. So
yep. All right. Well, that's my week. We can review or preview.
All right, Bronco Nation. So just keep a lookout for that. Keep a lookout for our Thursday night Bronco Nation live show. We try to have a show every Thursday at 7:00 p.m. Mountain Time. So stay tuned for that. And again, do all the things, like, share, comment. Go to BroncoNationUpdates.com. Use the search field. look for a recap of any game, go on there. You'll find lots of videos, lots of articles, great stuff. It's all for free because if you're a Bronco fan, you're a VIP to us, and there's never any paywalls. So we are truly powered by Boise State fans. So keep bleeding blue. Do your praying for our Broncos to make the championship, and then we'll touch base again. Until next time, go Broncos.
Go Broncos.
Hey, if you're looking for more followers, clients, or customers, check out ServingBroncoNation.com and get your business added to the directory. When you purchase a tax-deductible plan, you are investing in Boise State and getting access to millions of views throughout the year on the directory and the Bronco Nation network.